This meeting is being recorded.
Good evening, and welcome back to Let's Talk Destiny Talk Show. I'm your host, Jamie Green, and want to remind you that Let's Talk Destiny is a purpose-driven format where we share our God-given purpose and how we are walking out that purpose in our life on a daily basis. Would like to remind you to subscribe to our channel. There is some amazing content on there that will absolutely bless your life. And tonight I am blessed to have a young lady join me that I've been connected to on social media for quite some time and just been inspired by her journey and her spirit and how she is just so loving and kind to other people, even in times of adversity. And so I'm just blessed tonight that she came to sit with me and to have this conversation. So tonight I welcome to my platform LaToya Murchison. LaToya was born and raised in North Carolina, and she was diagnosed with HIV in 2018. Since that diagnosis, she has become a staunch HIV advocate. And I want to have her talk to us a little bit about that journey and what that's been like. And I also want to have her talk to us about one of her initiatives entitled Toya's Quiet Storm, and to share with us what that involves and how that touches lives and so forth and so on. So as we go on in our conversation, I will ask her more questions. But I just want to welcome you wholeheartedly to the platform, and I trust that we're going to have a great conversation. Welcome.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So let's start with, before we get into the conversation about your creativity and your writing and so forth, and how your diagnosis has impacted that. I want to ask you, just heart to heart, how are you doing right now? And what major accomplishment or goal have you achieved this year? As we're coming to the close of the year, we often stop and reflect on what we've done and what we haven't done, what we wish we had done. What would you say is a major accomplishment that you have achieved this year?
Let's see, a major accomplishment that I achieved this year is I was inducted into the 2020 Leading Women's Society by Sister Love, Inc. in Georgia.
All right, tell us a little bit about that organization and what did you do to get inducted into that organization?
I was actually nominated by a fellow friend that has HIV, and it's a lot of women that have, it's all women that have HIV that are impacting their communities.
Wow, powerful. I'm very proud of you. Very proud
Thank you. So I have a sisterhood of women that I'm connected to now that I can call on if I need an inspirational word or help with event or anything. I have a sisterhood that I can call to help me out. It's really amazing. It was an amazing experience.
And that's very important, because a lot of times when we're going through things, we feel alone. We feel like nobody understands. People will say, oh, girl, I got you, or girl, whatever. But some things people just can't relate to unless they were actually going through it. So that's a blessing. I'm glad you have that sisterhood. Now, what I want to ask you about, how did your diagnosis, how did your faith, I meant to say, impact your diagnosis? When you were diagnosed, how did you feel as far as your faith is concerned? And the reason I'm asking that question is because I know there are a lot of times when we get diagnoses, especially those that are incurable or those that are really like, I remember when I was diagnosed with sarcoidosis, and all I heard in that first consultation with the doctor was, there is no cure. I don't really think I remember anything else he said after that. It took me like 2 or 3 appointments to like really process but my faith said, okay, you can't just lay down and die. Like, you gotta face this. How did you feel when you got that diagnosis?
Well, in the beginning, I was like, wow, just like you. Okay, all I heard was incurable. only thing we can do is give you medicine. It's not going to change. You're not going to get, they told me I wasn't going to get any better at that time because I had other issues that were going on because of the diagnosis.
Okay.
So they said that I wasn't going to get any better. But here I am 4 years later, and I'm still kicking. I'm still here.
That's
So
awesome. That's
my
powerful.
faith is what keeps me going every day. Now I do have my days where I get down and I'll be like, why me?
Yes,
Why do I have to go through this? What can I do to change it? What did I do to cause it? But then I remember, everything happens for a reason.
Yes, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because if you've been following me on social media for a while, and one of the things that really irks me is when people are going through something and people start quoting scriptures or singing hymns or whatever, with all this religious rhetoric, and not allowing you to feel what you feel.
Right.
God, what what God can do, all of that. That doesn't change the fact that I've been given a diagnosis with an incurable disease, and the human part of me is responding to that. It really, that really does something to me, because people have to feel what they feel. You can't move forward to the next part of your journey until you address what you're dealing with at this part. And
Right.
so I'm glad to hear you say that. There are days when sometimes you just say, well, what in the world? Like, I was moving forward, I was doing this, I was doing that, and now this happens, and it's kind of like knocked me off my feet for a while. So when I met you, I was connected to you as an author.
Yes.
And you wrote a book of poetry, and just things that touched my soul. And so, has your diagnosis affected your creativity for the better or the worse?
For the better. I'm still writing. I'm actually on book number 10. I'm writing now.
Awesome.
It's book number 10. And book number 9, I actually talked about some of my story of living with HIV.
Okay. And I've got to make sure I get a copy of that, because I follow you on social media, and I'm really impressed and blessed by your journey, and I really want to find out more about how you're doing on a day-to-day basis. So, what has been the response to your diagnosis and this part of your journey by your family and your close friends? How did they respond to that?
Everybody's responded well. I wasn't sure how that was going to go. My mom was actually with me when I found out.
Okay.
And I can remember her, after the doctor leaving out, wrapping her arms around me and saying, "We're going to be okay. We got this."
Yes, that's powerful.
So that's where my strength comes from, is from her and my dad and my brother, my sister-in-law, a lot of my friends, some of them like you that I haven't even met.
Yes.
That still, like, you inspire me. I'm so proud of you. Is there anything you need? Can I do anything for you? Thank you for sharing your story.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's been a big help in this journey, because like I said, it hasn't been easy. I'm 4 years in.
Wow, that's powerful. Now, were you having like symptoms? Were you sick? How did you get your diagnosis, or what made you even go and be tested?
Well, actually, I was in the hospital. I was on my second kidney failure.
Okay.
And I didn't know I was being tested. So the doctor came in that day and she's like, "Miss Murchison, you've tested positive." And I'm like, "Positive for what?" She said, "For HIV." And all I can do was just sit there and just look at her.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, wow, that's not what I was expecting to hear. Right. And like I said, I was on my second kidney failure. I was septic.
Yeah.
I was in the heart center because my blood pressure was in the 80s and
Wow.
sometimes dropped lower than that. I couldn't even get out of the bed without assistance. So that's how I found out, was through the second kidney failure, because they were trying to understand why I went into kidney failure 2 times within 2 weeks.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, the
So,
first time I went in, the first time I got better.
yeah.
And then about a week and a half, 2 weeks later, I went back into it again. I was only
Wow.
functioning at 11%.
Oh, my goodness. That's a
Yes.
blessing that you're still here.
Yes, and I didn't
So,
have to do dialysis.
wow. Now that's a real blessing. That's a
Yes.
real blessing. And as I was talking to, I had a guest on last night. We were talking about this is National Diabetes Awareness Month. And
Mm-hmm.
we were talking about how many people are walking around with diabetes. Some of them don't even know they have it. Then
Yes.
there are those who have it that are not really doing anything to try to make it better.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to be conscious of what's going on with our bodies. That's another thing as Christians that sometimes people teach that is incorrect. Like we don't teach people the importance of knowing what's going on with our body, knowing what's going on with our mind. We just want to just believe God's got it. God's got it. Yes, God had got it, but there's some things that God has given us the ability to do. And being
Yes.
aware of what's going on with our bodies and our minds is one of them. Now, one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about is at your advocacy,
Yes,
because as
ma'am.
you know, I am an advocate on so many fronts,
Mm-hmm.
mostly with social injustices and inequalities and stuff like that. But I love it when people use their voice, because I say to people all the time, not only do you have a voice, but you are a voice. And I see you out there advocating on the behalf of people with HIV, and I am so proud of you. Tell us a little bit about your advocacy work and your initiative.
Thank you. It's called Toya's Quiet Storm. And that came from the HIV, because it was a quiet storm in my life
Okay, I like
because
that.
of the kidney failure. If I hadn't went into kidney failure, then I wouldn't have had known that I had HIV. And actually what happened that sent me to the hospital is I passed out in my bathroom
Okay,
and woke up, and I checked my blood pressure and it was low. So it was in like the 80s at that
oh
time.
my,
So once I finally got up off the floor and was able to sit down, I got me something to drink, and I called my mom and I went to the hospital. And
mm-hmm.
like I said, I was in the hospital for like a week. And that's how I came with Toya's Quiet Storm, because that's what it was. It was quietly wreaking havoc on my body.
Yes, that's powerful. I like that. I
Yeah,
like that.
it was quietly wreaking havoc on my body.
So, how are you feeling today? Like, what are so? Okay, let's back up a little bit, because there will be those who will be watching this tape later on that may have some questions about symptoms and um, ways that you can get HIV, and what are you doing on a daily basis to make your life have a better quality than just giving up and accepting your diagnosis. So, can you just talk a little bit about that? What are some ways that we can get HIV, and what would be some symptoms that we should follow up on?
Well, for me, the different ways you can get it is through, obviously through sex, blood, and those are the main ways that you can get it. And
Okay.
like the symptoms, a few symptoms that I had was cold sweats. Like I said, I went into the kidney failure, and I had issues with my blood pressure. When that's just for me what I had issues with.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's how like I said, that's how I was finding out. But how I'm feeling today is I still have trouble with my diabetes.
Okay.
and my blood pressure, and my kidneys, I'm still having some trouble with them right now.
Okay.
They're not doing too good, but other than that, I am good. I'm blessed.
That's powerful. I love that. And I will definitely add you to my prayer journal to keep
Thank
you in
you.
prayer. Um, because you are a voice, as I said, and you're doing an awesome job of reaching out to people. And there will be many others that will be blessed by your testimony tonight. Because one of the things that I know about humans is that we are quick to tell all the good things that are going on in our lives, but sometimes we don't want to share the bad things, when in many cases the bad things are what will bless and change other people's lives, because there will be somebody listening to this who may have just received a diagnosis of HIV, and they feel like their life is over. Because I know years ago when we heard the term HIV and a
Mhm.
person said they had HIV, you just almost started planning their funeral.
Right.
But it's not like that now.
No. And now they have all different types of medicine that you can take. They
Hmm.
even now have an injectable medication that you can take for HIV.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm definitely going to be praying for you and with your other organs. That's another thing I wanted to address is sometimes things are going on in our bodies that we don't know are going on. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember, growing up, and I'm way older than you, so it's been a long time. But I heard people say stuff like, what you don't know won't hurt you.
Yes, it will.
And that's simply not true, because
Right.
if there's some disease going on in your body, just because you don't know it's there doesn't mean it's not, like you said, wreaking havoc. So
Mm-hmm.
talk to us a little bit about when you share your testimony, you share your story, in your initiative, in your writings, in your creativity, whatever. How do you encourage people to go to the doctor, seek medical attention, know what's going on with your body?
Well, for me, I always stress how important it is, like you said, to know what's going on with your body and go and get tested. It's a simple blood test
Hmm.
that you can have done in the doctor's office. And I feel like, everybody needs to have one, because you just never know. You don't know what your partner may be doing outside of when they're not with you. So you got to protect yourself.
Absolutely. And then there are those of us, including myself, who've had to have blood transfusions,
Mm-hmm.
and they try to make it as safe for you as possible, but
Right.
you don't know. So
Right.
it's always best to get tested. Now, I'm not going to hold you all night, but I want to ask you
You're
this question.
fine.
One of the things that I loved about you when I first met you was your creative spirit, and how you your use words to invoke images, and that is a blessing. Everybody can't do that. So tell us how words work for you. What do you feel when you start excuse me, writing one of your poems or writing one of your books? How does that process work for LaToya, the writing of your words?
It's therapeutic because I can write what I'm feeling. I can write as much as I'm feeling, and it doesn't talk back to me.
Okay.
I don't have that outside voice saying, okay, well, you need to do this or you need to do that. I can just write and write and write and write. And it's like a release, like
Yes.
I'm releasing that burden or that pain that I'm feeling in that moment. Like when
Yeah.
I wrote my book, Fighting the Good Fight,
Okay.
Surviving HIV, that was a way of me to release what I was feeling about
Yeah.
HIV. Because in the beginning, when I first found out, I was real quiet. I wasn't as outspoken as I am now.
Okay.
It took me about a year and a half before I actually started speaking out
Okay.
about it.
So writing it was a great way for you to release all of that was inside.
Yes.
And not only does it bless other people when we release things, but it blesses you as well.
Mm-hmm.
I was telling someone the other day, that's how I am. Like, I sit here and write and write and write and write all the time. Um, but when it comes to, like, I've started on this children's book. It seems
Okay.
like I started when Jesus was a baby. It was so long ago. And I haven't gotten the book finished yet. But if I write, if I'm writing nonfiction, like you say, if I'm writing my
Mm-hmm.
own personal situations, the words just flow. But when
Yes.
I'm trying to do this daggone book, it's taking me forever to get it done
Mm-hmm.
because I'm like you. Words, when I write, I just literally feel something leaving my body, like the
Mm-hmm.
tension and the anxiety and all of that. So I'm
Yes,
just
ma'am.
excited, like, to be grateful that we have that gift, um, because God blessed us with the gift to write and to share our feelings, not just for us, even though it is a healing tool for us, but it also heals other people when they read the story. Because sometimes people, they look at you and they see you
Mm-hmm.
smiling and they
Mm-hmm.
see you going forward and getting inductions and publishing books, and they
Mm-hmm.
think, oh, she's doing okay, she's all right, but they don't have a clue what's going on behind the scene.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, again, that's why it's important that you have that sisterhood and you have people that will say, even on your worst days,
Mm-hmm.
it's okay, I got you, don't even worry about it. You're having a bad day, it's okay, have a bad day. Yeah. So I think that's extremely important. And I didn't want to just talk about the HIV and the diagnosis and like paint it as like something horrible, even though it is horrible. But
Right.
I want people to see that even in the midst of one of your worst periods,
Mm-hmm.
you are still productive, you're still creating, you're still blessing others. So tell us what's up next for LaToya.
Well, right now I'm working on part 2 to my book, Anika's story. This one is called Anika Saving Grace.
Okay.
And it's where she finds love in the midst of her storms. The first book, Anika's story, is where she talks about being molested and
Mhm.
different issues she dealt with depression and everything like that. So now we're moving on to the part where she's healed and she's finding love with someone else.
Awesome. So as we move forward, as you move forward, we're
Yes,
closing
ma'am.
out this year, we're moving into a new year.
Mm-hmm.
What is your attitude towards what you see happening next for you?
I see me building my advocacy more than I am now and reaching out and touching more people. That's
Yes,
what I see. I see it being a big part of my life for the
absolutely.
rest of my life. As
Yes,
long as I have breath or as long as I can write, I'll still tell my story and I'll still talk about HIV and different things that are affecting me so that it'll heal and help somebody else, because to help one person makes it worth it.
absolutely. Absolutely. And that is like one of the reasons, as I said at the very beginning, that I set up this format, because I want it to be a place where people can come and focus on their purpose and just really have a safe place where you can talk about the negative and the positive, the good and the bad, and but remain with the understanding that you were created with purpose. You're not just here just by accident. You didn't
Mhm.
just, you're not just here with nothing to do with your life. And sometimes life takes us down streets and journeys and roads, and we're like, what in the heck is going on here? Like, how did
Mhm.
I end up over here? What in the world did I do to deserve this? But
Right.
I've learned that even in the midst of that, we are still, if we can still be effective in bringing about change in other people's lives.
Yes.
Absolutely. And I want to encourage you with that, because I got to do a better job of following you and getting your books. I do need to do that. And I will commit to that. But I am just so blessed by you. And I want you to know that. I think earlier
Thank
this
you.
year, I had said I wanted to reach out to you to come and sit and have a conversation with me. But so much has been going on this year. Uh, sheesh. But at one point, I even just stopped doing the show.
Wow.
Um, yeah, because sometimes you just get discouraged, and the people
Mhm.
that you think will support you don't
Don't
support you.
support you. Mhm.
And some of the very people that said to me, oh, when I first mentioned it, oh yeah, you need to do it, you need this, that, and other. But then once you get out there, you like look around and like, where are these people?
Mhm.
And so I just kind of like, with the health challenges, and then the lack of support, I just like, forget it, I'm just going to stop. But then I remembered why I was doing it in the first place.
Mhm.
And I said, if I only reach one person,
Mhm.
like you said, if one person comes to me and said, I listened to a conversation you had with one of your guests and it changed my life, then it's worth it. It's worth
Yes.
it. Absolutely. So do you
Absolutely.
have anything on your schedule for the rest of this year? Any traveling, any more events, or anything you want to tell us about?
Well, right now I'm working with a program that's called HIV and Faith Ambassador.
Okay.
So where I'm learning more about HIV and going out and speaking. So I next month I'll be doing a media event where I'll get to talk to some people about HIV and the program. And that's really all that I have for the rest of this year. I don't have anything else planned. Just keep writing and
Yeah.
sharing my story on social media and in the public as much as I can to help everybody else.
I love it. I love it. Now, what would you say? I've got a couple more minutes here. What would you say is the theme that runs through all of your writings? Like, what is the thing that you keep coming back to, or that stays in your spirit as you're writing?
My love for God is in all of my books. I talk about him in all of my books because
Yeah.
without him it wouldn't be me.
Yes.
It wouldn't
Yes.
be me. That's how I've been able to survive this long with all these different trials that I've been through. And
Yes.
it's been my faith in
Yes.
him and him loving me when I didn't love myself.
Yes. Our faith sustains us. I
Yes.
say that to myself a lot some days when I can hardly even get out of the bed because I'm in so much pain.
Mm-hmm.
But even on those days, my faith sustains me. And I'm
Yes.
grateful for that. Yes, yes, yes. All right, LaToya, tell us how we can connect with you. Do you have a website? Give us your contact information, please.
Yes, ma'am. I do have a website. It's LaToyaMurchison.com. That's LaToyaMurchison.com. And you can also find me on social media at Toya's Quiet Storm or Author LaToya M.
Powerful, powerful. And again, I want to thank you so much for sitting with me tonight. You really blessed me and encouraged me, gave me some things to think about. And
Thank you. And you done the
I'm
same.
good, good. That's the whole purpose why I'm here. And I do want to reach out to you to get some of your books, um,
Of
because
course.
I want to bless you as well as be blessed. And again, I thank you so much for joining me here on Let's Talk Destiny. You're welcome to come back anytime that you want to share something new you might be doing, something that's going on in your life. Just reach out to me, and you're welcome on this platform anytime.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, and I will talk to you soon.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right,
You
have a good evening.
night. You too.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.